Yes, thank you. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Namaste to everybody. Piyush, are you there or have you dropped off?
Yoshi, are you there? Let me call you. Can you
I
hear
think
me? Can you
yes,
hear
yes.
me? Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Piyush.
Oh, so someone removed me. Okay, so let's start. Huh? So we request all of you, please help us and see. It's a great opportunity to have a mic in front of you. So it's a good opportunity to interact with the speaker. It does not mean you can take some other way. So we request, please. Please keep patience and keep silence during the session. And so whenever you face any problem, uh, you have to think it's the problem maybe with your system. That's the before unmute and speak your problem. I request you, please check with your system first, then you can let us know. So that's the only one request whenever you face in during the session. And regarding link assessment, after 50 minutes after the session, we will upload in the drive and in the chat box. Then we'll go to Q&A session. So we pranam to all the participants on our fourth day of IKS-TKDL workshop on traditional knowledge, intellectual intellectual property and people's rights. As we have completed 3 days, so in the on the first day, as we see, Murthy sir has focused on the darshana, that the main goal to decolonize our Indian minds. If we see the arrangement of the topics within this program, it's very unique and say completion as I see. So Murthy sir's session is on brain. It's a focus on drishti, and man is ma'am's part is the corpus of TK. That's the body. Then Anil sir gives the rules and regulations. What are the laws we have to know for what? To protect TK. That's the unique part. How we can protect? There are methodologies. Sorry, we don't have today Dr. Vijayalakshmi Asthana ma'am. Here, she focus on how we can apply those rules. What is the methodology? So, ma'am, so Viswajanani ma'am will complete that gap, her domain, how we can defensive and positive approach we can take. And in the tomorrow we will look into as a first person approach. So how I can deal, so that's the ethical part of applying those rules within TK. So Pranam ma'am, I request you to start, then we'll go to the next.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Piyush. Pranam to everybody. Thank you for joining us on the fourth day of this workshop. I hope we have been useful since the last 3 days, and continuing with our discussions on intellectual property rights and also, primarily the traditional knowledge. Today, what we would be focusing on is the protection of traditional knowledge. We will be introducing to some of you who are not aware of it, the defensive and the positive protection of traditional knowledge. And therewith, we will also be providing you with an overview of the traditional knowledge digital library. I guess all of you are able to see my slides
Yes, ma'am. Chalo.
and you're able to also hear me clearly, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so as Piyush just recapped, on the first day, you got to understand the Indian knowledge systems, the Drishti, the Laukika Prayojana, and many other very critical aspects of what constitutes the uniqueness of our Indian traditional knowledge. The second day, I just kind of provided you a glimpse into the vastness of our traditional knowledge. I could only touch upon few subjects you would appreciate. There's much more than that, and that is what calls for our interest to dig deeper and understand, what is it that we could bring forth in today's context, and also keeping the future in mind. Yesterday, you had a very interesting discussion on the intellectual property rights. So, Anil from my group, he talked to you all about, the different frameworks that are available under the intellectual property rights. He mentioned to you that these are all legal provisions. So if you have a creative art and you would want to copyright it, you have a legal protection for your creative art for about your lifetime and 60 years plus. Patents, it's for inventions and not for discoveries, and it provides you a protection of the invention for about 20 years since the time of filing, and so on and so forth. Trademarks, industrial designs, geographical indications, plant variety protections, and of course, the semiconductor integrated circuits and layout designs. This becomes very important, especially because today the buzzword across the world is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So, all of these become very important. As inquisitive human beings, we've always been looking out for something that would be of relevance, that would be of meaning to all of us. And in this context, we would all want to derive some credit to ourselves, especially in today's world, where many of our assessments are also linked to all these, outputs, so called outputs of our research. So if you look back and then, reflect upon the last 3 days discussions, we talked largely about only traditional knowledge because that's the primary interest for this particular workshop. But very strangely and surprisingly, traditional knowledge yet does not have a well-defined definition that has been acceptable by everybody. The World Intellectual Property Organization defines traditional knowledge as knowledge, know-how, skills, practices that have been developed, sustained, and passed on from one generation to another within a community. And this traditional knowledge could be a form of that particular community's cultural or spiritual identity. So when we look at it, the first question is that, we've been talking about traditional knowledge, but what is it that we are talking about? So here, what we are looking at is it not only includes only what we see as living tradition, it also includes the intellectual and the intangible cultural heritage. It includes practices, knowledge systems of communities, including the oral traditional knowledge. On the first day, I think one of the participants talked, are we also looking at oral traditional knowledge? And the answer is a resounding yes. We are looking at the knowledge of the local communities as well. So it can be, vast and diverse areas. It could be agricultural knowledge, it could be any other scientific and technical knowledge, it could be ecological, environmental knowledge, of course, medicinal knowledge that we are largely focused on in the TKDL, biodiversity related matters, non biological resources related matters like metallurgy that I talked to you about, architecture that I talked to you about, and so on and so forth. And when we talk of this traditional knowledge, where are we going to source this information? Because what we are trying to primarily tell you is that our knowledge has, a lot of value. One needs to relook at the knowledge that we are on the verge of losing, and then see how is it that we can adapt that knowledge to our needs today, or we adapt ourselves to the knowledge that is existent. So primarily, we are now looking at secondary resources such as the text, the manuscripts. So here the diversity, the accessibility of that particular knowledge, the languages, everything becomes a very critical part of this particular resource. And of course, in today's context, as I had also mentioned in my presentation, you need not get that information only from the traditional old texts. In today's context, there are a lot of other people also pulling out information from various sources, and then they are able to publish journal articles, books, and many other in many other formats. But when we talk of traditional knowledge, especially the oral traditional knowledge, we are referring to the primary sources. And here it could be an individual, it could be a family, or it could be a community that has been handling this traditional knowledge from several generations. And today we are loosely calling them as knowledge holders, or they could also be called as traditional knowledge contributors. So we had also talked about the different forms of traditional knowledge, the codified, the non-codified, the disclosed, the not yet disclosed, the sacred, the secret, and so many different definitions and terminologies have been used in the context of traditional knowledge. But primarily, the two major categories are one, traditional knowledge that has been codified, the other one is the non-codified traditional knowledge, which is basically the knowledge that has been just passed on by word of mouth. So here, when we look at the codified traditional knowledge, what we are referring to is the inscriptions on the rocks, any other carvings, the manuscripts. It could be the palm leaf manuscripts or on metal sheets, and so on and so forth. And as I had mentioned previously also, the National Mission for Manuscripts, and in today's context, the Gyan Bharatam mission is primarily looking at digitizing manuscripts and preserving that. But this is again a huge source of information that is important for the communities, for people like us as well.
Sorry, ma'am, slides are not visible, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just give me.
Now visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Please.
All right. Sorry about that. I didn't know that it was lost. Yeah, so as I had mentioned, the manuscripts are that, and then of course the text that we are having today. And the sad part of it is that when we consider the classical text or the ancient text, almost 85% of the books are indicated to be out of print, and of course are out of copyright, and few of them are available only in few libraries across the country. So one needs to make an effort to even protect these texts so that we don't lose the knowledge within. Similar is the case for manuscripts. And as I had mentioned, the Gyan Bharatam mission is primarily focused to ensure that we save the manuscripts. So we do the digitization and preserve it and use it for further research, innovation, and any other purposes as well. But the oral traditional knowledge is something that we need to deal with very differently, because when we talk of the text especially, it is already in public domain, or somebody can pay for a book and then buy a book and then read it and understand what is the information. So this is something that where the knowledge has already been disclosed to the public. Manuscripts, you have two different categories. Manuscripts which are there in public libraries is again public information, but those that are there in private collections, such as in families or individuals holding it, that becomes a private property, where the concerned individual or the family or the community is the custodian of that particular knowledge. Similar is the case for the oral tribal or folk knowledge that we speak about. The custodians are the individuals or the communities or the family members themselves. And as all of you would appreciate, we have a huge tribal population also. So when I talk of oral knowledge, it is not limited to only the tribal population. There are many other families, who are still holding this knowledge. So oral knowledge is basically the not yet codified knowledge, and it could also be the not yet disclosed, that is the undisclosed traditional knowledge. So here, a large proportion of this knowledge relates to agricultural productivity, soil quality, biodiversity, even, as I had previously mentioned, local health traditions, even water conservation, environmental and ecological knowledge, especially when we talk of climate resilient plants and so on and so forth. So our primary role is to understand, appreciate this knowledge and see how can we preserve, protect and promote this knowledge so that the knowledge holders can be benefited. Very often what happens is that the knowledge becomes the livelihood means for those knowledge holders. So here, when we talk of all this, and especially in the workshop that we are holding today, what we are primarily focused is protecting that traditional knowledge or cultural expressions thereof. So as I mentioned, in this cultural expressions could be anything over and beyond what is classically mentioned as the classical traditional knowledge. It could include folk treatments, folk medicines, dairy products, agriculture and seed technology, metalware, metallurgy, tool making, pottery, fabric making, textiles, and so on and so forth. It also includes all this performing arts and other, artistic, artistic knowledge. So as I mentioned, it could be painting, it could be weaving, it could be many other aspects, including carpet making and so on and so forth. So as I had mentioned, the key questions when we look at traditional knowledge as a whole, when we talk of codified traditional knowledge and the oral traditional knowledge, the primary aspects that we look at, is who owns the traditional knowledge. If in case we are going and gathering that knowledge, do we take the prior informed consent? What happens when there is misappropriation? I will talk about misappropriation a little more in depth as we move forward. Then comes the attribution and benefit sharing, attribution of the knowledge to the concerned individual or the family or the community, benefit sharing when we derive benefits, how do we share those benefits with the concerned knowledge holder? If in case it has a cultural or spiritual identity associated with that knowledge, can we maintain the sacredness, the secret, if in case it's a confidential information, can we maintain the secrecy of that particular knowledge? And in all of this entire process, is there a concern? Is there a concern related to the livelihood of the knowledge holders? And how do we preserve and protect the rights of the knowledge holders? So that's largely about all this, entire thing. So I mentioned about misappropriation. Why is it that when we are talking of protection, suddenly I'm talking of misappropriation? Why is it important? So the question here is that when we talk about traditional knowledge, it is generally assumed that it has been given by our ancestors, and once it is already there in public domain, anybody can use it. Okay, so if in case let me take an example of this patent on turmeric for wound healing, that within the family, in text, everywhere it has been mentioned. So the concern here is when we are talking about deriving a credit for ourselves, especially when we are doing, in today's context called the research and development. So here presented in front of all of you are cases where, what is the subject matter of under traditional knowledge, where the inventions claimed, okay, and patent applications were filed, and the leading patent offices like the European Patent Office, the US Patent Office, they had all granted patent rights on these applications. So the classical cases that I would like to put forth is turmeric for its wound wound healing properties. The patent was filed by the University of Mississippi in the year 1993 in the US, and the USPTO granted this particular patent in 1995. Similarly, basmati rice, lines and grains, were patented by a company called Rice Tech in the US, and this was filed in the year 1994. The patent was granted in 1997. Another example that I would like to showcase is the fungicidal formulation of neem, and this was filed by W.R. Grace and the Department of Agriculture of the US. The patent was filed in the year 1991 and the patent was granted in the year 1994. So what happens, especially after what you have learned yesterday, when a patent is granted, it is a legal provision that is granted to the concerned applicant or the assignee. And once a legality is established, the ownership now changes. Whoever is now the paid inventors or the assignee now becomes the owners of that particular knowledge. And just look at it, here we are talking of something that has been used almost on an everyday basis. Turmeric for its wound healing properties, basmati rice, which is a staple rice variety, especially in northern India, neem that is still being used by our farmers on a regular basis. So these are all subject matters which we have taken for granted as our traditional knowledge, and we believe that nobody can take ownership rights on that. It belongs to all of us as Indians. But when it comes to a patent, one needs to understand it is not just by saying, oh, it is our traditional knowledge, you cannot have a patent grant. Once a patent is granted, the only way that we can go and get the patent revoked is through a litigation process. And that is what the government of India had done way back in the 90s, because it's all about retaining ownership rights to our own traditional knowledge. And when somebody appropriates it for vested interests, especially through such legal provisions, it's called misappropriation. And where biological resources are used, it's called the biopiracy. So here, these three cases are classical examples of how our Indian traditional knowledge was misappropriated and biopirated from us. And so the government of India went through a litigation process. So the litigation, as everybody understands, it's a long drawn process. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of efforts, and more importantly, it takes a lot of money also, because you have to engage the advocates of those countries to fight your case. So here we did go for a litigation, and in 3 years, the patent on turmeric was revoked entirely. The basmati rice patent was amended. Out of 20 claims, only 3 novel inventions were allowed, 17 were cancelled. In the case of neem, it took a very long time. This particular case was fought by Dr. Vandana Shiva from Navdanya. It's an NGO, and it took about 11 years for her to fight this particular patent litigation. And here, unfortunately, we did not have a lot of codified knowledge. This knowledge is largely being practiced by the farmers, and this is largely, again, or loosely put as oral traditional knowledge. So she had gone and taken the statements, depositions from the farmers, largely from the southern India and also Sri Lanka, and presented this deposition to the court, to the European Patent Office and the US PTO. In Europe, the patent was revoked in the year 2005 after 11 years of struggle. The USPTO did not accept that, and the patent was held valid. And the reason being, USPTO was very, very particular that when we talk of prior art literature, that is literature known before a particular patent application is filed, needs to be in a printed form, and only that would be considered as a prior art information. When we talk of misappropriation and biopiracy, the cases still go on. A recent example is about the kilta. This is the cane or bamboo basket that is, hung behind the agricultural workers to carry the agricultural produce after the cultivation. And one of the companies had made a polymeric material instead of the bamboo or the cane, and said that this is ergonomically, more efficient because it does not lead to, problems of the back and the neck and the forehead and so on and so forth. Okay, and the patent was granted based on whatever was claimed as a technical advance. But PIL was filed, a litigation was filed in the court saying that this is no subject matter. It is very obvious. So what is novel about all of this? So finally, after 13 years of fight, the Himachal Pradesh High Court revoked the particular patent, invoking the sections 2 JA, 3D, and as well as 3P, that is traditional knowledge. And the patent was finally revoked in June 2018 after 13 years. So with these cases in hand, what we are again in today's workshop, we are focused on how do we assess, how do we prevent piracy and misappropriation. So again, loosely defined, when we talk of misappropriation, it is about exclusive IP ownership over indigenous or traditional knowledge, and it could be for profit. And here the rights to genetic or biological resources and the knowledge associated could be, for wrongful exploitation with little or no compensation to the knowledge holders. So this is where, when we especially talk about misappropriation and biopiracy of traditional knowledge, we are largely talking about preventing patent grants on known subject matter, that is our traditional knowledge. So here, when we do all of that, when we talk about preventing patent rights from being taken, we are now talking about defensive protection. These are the two terminologies, important terminologies that we are introducing, so that you would understand that when we talk of protection of traditional knowledge, cultural expressions, and even grassroots innovations, two major aspects. One is the defensive protection, the other one is a positive protection. And defensive protection, as I said, is to have a strategy wherein we do not allow third parties to get illegitimate or unfounded IP rights over traditional knowledge or even the cultural expression, or even the biological resources associated with it. But when we talk of positive protection, this is in the context of especially the oral traditional knowledge, where we know that this knowledge is empowering, is part of the livelihoods of the concerned knowledge holders. So it is to not only protect their rights, but it is also to promote the traditional knowledge, so their livelihoods could have an enhancement. So typically, when we talk of the positive protection, one would expect that there is a sui generis legal system to protect the rights of the people. Unfortunately, in our country, we do not have any legal system directly or focused on traditional knowledge, but we have many other frameworks which I will be talking about in due course of my lecture. So when we talk of defensive protection, which we will primarily focus on, it's about making traditional knowledge available as prior art information. I mentioned to you the case of NEEM, right, where I had mentioned that the USPTO refused to revoke the patent because they said that particular traditional knowledge was not in a printed format before as a prior art information. So before the patent application is filed. So here what we are looking at is how do we document the traditional knowledge and make it available so that somebody else do not gain this third party rights, unfounded rights on somebody else's knowledge. So typically, when we talk of traditional knowledge, there are a lot of compendiums that have been brought out by many organizations and universities. Classical examples are there in front of you. The central councils under the Ministry of Ayush, that is CCRA, CCRUM, CCRS, they are all prasiddha. They all go do a lot of survey. They consolidate the tribal knowledge that they have gathered on medicine and health, and they bring in compendiums. So that is part of, now becomes a prior art information. Another example is from the ICMR, where they have created a database of ethnomedicinal plants on the Western Ghats. Ministry of Tribal Affairs has continuously been, connecting with universities to do ethnobotanical work, and they bring out that compilations, or either the researchers themselves bring out research articles and so on and so forth. So once all this knowledge is put into public domain, it becomes prior art literature. You also have from the National Medicinal Plants Board under the Ministry of Ayush, the Indian Medicinal Plants Database. It has a huge number of medicinal plants-based information. It contains about 7,200 odd botanical names covering several, over 1.5 lakh vernacular names across different Indian languages. So from Ayurveda, it contains about 1,540 species, Siddha, again, 1,149, and so on and so forth. So this is one another way in which traditional knowledge has been provided to the public as prior art information from which you can gather and then do your research or do anything that would be applicable as per your interest. Another case is in terms of, again, medicinal plants. The Transdisciplinary University from Bangalore, along with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, have brought out this NVIS Center on Medicinal Plants, where they have a register, and this is also openly available on the site of the TDU or even on NVIS. Then you have NGO called the Honeybee Network, which has been founded by Professor Anil K. Gupta from IIM Ahmedabad, and there are many partners to that. This is a voluntary group that collects information, and they also have a medicinal plants database. I'm just kind of focused on the medicinal plants because of our work related to traditional knowledge digital library. This is only to give you an idea that, once traditional knowledge is put into public domain, it becomes prior art information. So that serves as a defensive form of protection of the traditional knowledge. We will move into the gray areas of this particular thing and also positive protection in maybe in some time or maybe tomorrow. So even in the context of agriculture, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, that is ICAR, I had mentioned this again in my previous presentation. They had gone and done a lot of survey, and they put together a lot of indigenous technical knowledge related to agriculture as 7 volumes. They have done experiments to validate certain of these interventions, and they found that they were quite useful. And now this particular information also now becomes prior art information. So in the context of our Indian Patents Act, all this information that is already there in public domain will become prior art information. So here, by the Patent Act, I did mention about Section 3P, which says that no traditional knowledge can be patented. As I didn't mention for the first time I'm introducing, sorry about that. So under the Patents Act, we have a section called 3P, which says that it is about non-patentable subject matter. So nobody, if in case there is something called traditional knowledge mentioned by somebody, that native traditional knowledge cannot be patented under our Indian Patents Act of 1970. The section 3P says an invention which in effect is traditional knowledge or which is an aggregation of duplication of known properties or of traditionally known component or components cannot be patented. So what does it mean? So if in case, say, I have 3 different herbs known in, say, Siddha or Ayurveda or Unani for a particular indication, and what I do is that combine all the 3, and then I say, oh, I have created a new formulation, let me go and patent it. So this is not a patentable subject matter as per our Patent Act. So then you would also then ask me, okay, then what is the point in, we looking at traditional knowledge and doing some research on it if we can't get a patent? Here, the answer is that when we look at patentability, there are 3 important criteria that was mentioned by my colleague Anil Ji yesterday. He said for a patent to be granted, you need to meet 3 minimal criteria. One is the novelty, the second one is the inventive step, the third one is what is called the application or industrial applicability. So if in case your invention, okay, is from known subject matter, not entirely novel, but it meets an inventive step. Say, for example, when I talk about the 3 herbs, I combine all the 3, and in one particular proportion, I see 20 or 30% enhancement in activity. I can go and then tell the patent office that after a lot of experimentation, this particular combination of drug in this proportion will give you 20% enhancement in activity. So that meets the criteria of inventorship. Similarly, I mix all the, 3 or maybe another, add one more ingredient to it, and I'm able to reduce the toxicity of the drug, say about 15 times or so. So this again meets the criteria of inventorship because it's not obvious to a person skilled in the art. Because say I go to an Ayurveda expert, especially if I'm talking of these 3 Ayurveda herbs, and I tell them I have mixed this 3, but then have been able to reduce the toxicity. It is not obvious unless you do the experimentation and arrive at that particular combination that provides you either the synergy or reduction in toxicity and so on and so forth. So then in that case, this would be a traditional knowledge inspired innovation, and if in case it meets the criteria of inventorship, a patent can be granted. So how does the patent office know what is traditional knowledge? In today's context, of course, there is so much of information on the web, but you have to reflect about something that happened in the 90s, especially the cases that I had talked about, the basmati rice, the turmeric, or even the neem and so on and so forth. At that point of time, the government of India, especially considering whatever happened in the 3 different cases, felt that it was important to retain our ownership rights on our traditional knowledge. Thereby, we would be able to avert misappropriation of our own traditional knowledge. So they felt that we need to have some framework wherein our traditional knowledge will be provided as a prior art information to the world, especially the patent offices, so that patents do not get granted on our Indian traditional knowledge. So for that, what is important is to meet the challenges where, while we feel very happy about the diversity of our languages and in the formats of our traditional knowledge, that became a challenge, especially in the context of prior art information, printed information, and so on and so forth. So the government of India established what is called the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, the TKDL. It is the first of its kind worldwide. It is a database of value-added traditional knowledge information. By drawing concordance with the modern parlance, today we boast of 5.2 lakh formulations and practices from different streams of the Indian systems of medicine, the classical medicine, that is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Sovarikpa, and also yoga practices. So here we have used a very distinct data architecture. We have used the international patent classification codes and developed our own traditional knowledge resource classification codes, again for the first time globally, so that this particular data architecture provides for standard and uniform terminologies, so that if somebody searches on the TKDL, they will be able to get the relevant information quickly from the database. So to break the knowledge and language and the format barriers, all of this is now codified and then provided in languages such as English, French, German, Japanese, and Spanish. And the government of India felt that such a value-added database can be given only to patent offices under non-disclosure agreements, primarily to meet the objective, that is to prevent misappropriation of Indian traditional knowledge. So we provide access to the patent offices, 18 different patent offices. These are national patent offices who access the database, find the relevant prior art information, and thereby they prevent patents from being granted on our Indian traditional knowledge. We also file what is called the third-party observations and pre-grant oppositions. Yesterday, one of our colleagues from the Indian Patent Office mentioned, right, there are a lot of patent applications being filed on it. So what we do is, while they are also searching the database, we also file what is called the TPOs and pre-grant oppositions. And based on all of this, we have been able to prevent misappropriation of Indian traditional knowledge in about 375 cases, where the outcomes could be either rejection of the application, revocation of the application, amendment. Sometimes based on the evidences, the applicant decides to withdraw or abandon their patent applications. So this is how the entire TKDL looks at. We have been focused on the Indian systems of medicine because of its commercial value. There are a lot of patents that have been filed not only on the medicinal formulations, but also as cosmetics, as FMCG products, and so on and so forth. So from the TKDL, which is I mentioned about the data architecture, architecture, right? Everything has been systematically put together so that, the terms that have been used in the database has been terms and terminologies found uniformity and standardization. So the different languages, it could be Malayalam, it could be Sanskrit, it could be Bhoti, it could be Tamil, it could be Urdu, Arabic, or Persian. All of this is now synchronized, and we provide a report wherein there is a lot of information related to the plants, the botanical names, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani names, the process by which the formulation is made, for what it is used, in which format it is used. Sometimes they also give, information related to dietary recommendations. It could be patya, it could be apatya, that is food that can be taken, should not be taken. All of this, whatever is in that particular verse or shloka, all of that is decoded and provided in a very simple format with the value addition that I had mentioned. Say, for example, if it is, polyherbal formulation, we mentioned which the botanical names. We also mention, which part of that particular plant is used, to what quantity that particular plant is used. Sometimes we use metric measurements. Whatever is available within that particular shloka, all of that is provided. And for patent offices like the USPTO, the reference becomes very, very important. And so we also provide from which book we have gathered that information. If there are multiple books that talk about the same formulation, we don't keep adding the same numbers, but we only say that, from 2 books or from 3 books, this particular formulation is known. So because it's on a digital platform, this TKDL helps us to understand the commonalities and the distinctness between the different systems of medicine. Say, for example, here, if we are talking of Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Soba, Rigpa, and we are talking of this nutmeg, that is Jati Phala, you will know what is the term used in Ayurveda, what is it known in Unani. Of course, a botanical name is also given, and we would also know for which indications it is used. Similarly, we also have done the, you can get a correlation of the disease names also. So here again, as an example, if we are talking of dry cough, it is Shushka Kas in Ayurveda. In Unani, it is Lali Yabis. In Siddha, it is Varat Irimal, and so on and so forth. So this kind of information is possible only because all of this information related to our different systems of medicine are brought together on a platform which can speak to each other, and therefore the commonalities, the distinctness, and the differences can be identified very well. So it is of great pride to tell that, the TKDL happens to serve as one of the largest databases, prior databases of Indian traditional knowledge, covering about 5.2 lakh formulations and practices from the different streams of medicine and health, that is Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Soba, Rigpa, and as well as Yoga. We have focused largely on the text, 696 of them. And initially, while we were focused on the formulations and the yoga practices, today, in the last few years, we have added a lot of other information like diagnostics, devices, tools, practices, surgical methods, and so on and so forth. All of this information is part of the transcripts that we have brought into the TKDL. And also, based on the value that the TKDL provides, the Government of India in August 2022 gave approval for widening the access to all users besides the patent offices. So how does the TKDL work as a defensive form of protection? So here the patent offices look at the TKDL database, they look at prior art information, and if in case they find anything relevant, they send it to the applicant to say that this is no subject matter, wait for the response from the applicant, and then decide on the grant process. So before a patent is granted, all this, the TKDL serve its purpose to prevent the grant from happening. So I had mentioned about the third party observation and pre-grant opposition, right? So this particular framework is available not just to the TKDL or to the CSIR. it is applicable to every individual or all other organizations also. So in case you find any patent being filed on known subject matter, including traditional knowledge, one can file an opposition before the grant is made by the patent office. Otherwise, you'll have to go for a litigation. You can still oppose it, but you'll have to go through a litigation. Here, what happens is that we look at applications that are being filed manually. We browse through all that. In case we find that any application has any relevance to our Indian traditional knowledge, we put together the application for opposing it, and then based on that, the patent examiners take a decision to either refuse the application or get the claims amended, or as I had mentioned, the patent applicants, based on the evidences provided, they either decide to withdraw or abandon these patent applications. So these are all the positive outcomes that we keep talking about. So based on that, the 375 cases that I had mentioned previously is presented in front of you across different patent offices. We have been able to prevent misappropriation of Indian traditional knowledge, and this is how, in a couple of examples, here is an application that has been filed in the Indian Patent Office by a company called Rupak Enterprises. And here they talk about the bioactives, and they say that this is here it is bakuchiol. It is used for inflammatory disorder, and they also talk about different herbs. Here it is Allium sativum, curcumin, gingiber officinal, and all that. So what we did is looked at our TKDL database, identified two different evidences, presented that to the patent office, and based on that, the patent examiner took a call saying that these while the evidences do not specifically mention those bioactives like boswellic acid or the proportion and so on and so forth, it is obvious that these chemicals will be there in the whole plant or part of the plant that is used for that particular formulation. So they felt there is, it is non-patentable subject matter under the section 3P, and therefore all those particular claims were not allowed. So based on that, the application was refused grant in 2018. Another example is about an individual filing a patent in the USPTO, and here he talks about a particular plant called Tephrosia purpurea, and while mentioning that it is a cure for many diseases, he also mentions chronic diarrhea. So again, we pulled out information from our TKDL database across Unani, across Ayurveda and Siddha, and we provided this information to the patent office, and based on that, the examiner rejected several of the claims that related to the formulation, and the application was thereafter abandoned by the applicant in 2009. So this is how the TKDL serves as a defensive form of protection, because it does not allow somebody to gain patent rights on Indian traditional knowledge. So based on the experiences that we had so far, we then felt that it was also important to expand into other subject areas. We looked at metallurgy, and we felt that, I talked about the wood steel, the Damascus steel and all that, right? We felt that we found that, there were a lot of patents that have been filed on such steels, and those patents were granted long ago. So we felt that, we also need to now start documenting metallurgy into the TKDL database. In fact, there is one particular example of a patent that has been filed in 2013 by the Tatas, and here it is about a process for synthesizing reduced graphene oxide on a substrate from seedling. And here the opposition was filed by the National Innovation Foundation from Gandhinagar, Gujarat, because they felt that this particular patent had traditional knowledge information from the Dhanuka tribes of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. So we felt that it's important to also look at. But unfortunately, in metallurgy, unlike in the case of the Indian systems of medicine or many other subject areas that I had mentioned, there's no direct information on metallurgy or text on metallurgy. So we looked at Rasaratna Samuchaya. We have just initiated in the last 2 years. We looked at many other texts also, including Arthashastra. We found there's a lot of valuable information there. So based on that, using the same format that we had done for the Indian systems of medicine, we have started including metallurgy, again using the same data architecture. We had done the same thing for agriculture also. We looked at a lot of patents that initially found they were a lot on medicinal plants also, and then we found that these patents have been filed. Some of them have been granted across right from 2007 till until recently. And then we looked at all the texts that are there. As I mentioned, fortunately for agriculture, you have focused texts like Krishi Parashara, Kashyapa Krishi Shukti, and Lokopakara, Brihat Samhita, and many others. So we also have the ICAR documents as well. So based on that, in the last 2 years, we have started documenting Indian agriculture also into the TKDL database. This is how the data architecture has been arrived at, and we have started doing the transcripts. So worldwide, while India has presented different formats of information for the defensive protection of our traditional knowledge, there are many other countries as well that have also followed suit. For example, from Taiwan, you have the TCM database, but it not only provides information on the traditional medicine, but it also connects it to a lot of omics data. So this is the uniqueness of this particular database. Unfortunately, yesterday I was not able to access it. I'm not sure why. The Korean traditional knowledge portal again has been developed post our Indian TKDL, and again this particular database provides a lot of information related to the traditional knowledge and also the scientific validations that have been done on that particular formulation or entry thereof. Philippines also has developed their own TKDL on health. Again, this is based on the different communities that they have, and they have started documenting all that. So it has information on the local name, the scientific name, the common name, the indication, the plant parts used, and in which provinces of Philippines it is used. There is another site called the GlobenMed, where there's a lot of information on medicinal herbs and plants also. When we move on with this traditional knowledge, as I mentioned, it's not limited to only medicine. It is not limited to only biological diversity. But yes, biological diversity happens to constitute a large proportion of it. So under the National Biodiversity Authority, they have been documenting the biological resources and the associated traditional knowledge. So it comes under the People's Biodiversity Register. This People's Biodiversity Register is primarily put together by the biodiversity management committees. These committees work at the village or panchayat level. They take the prior informed consent of that particular community before going ahead and documenting all this information. They have a format with it. So under that, the different state boards have documented information on the biological resources and the associated traditional knowledge. So it could be innovations, traditions, ecological knowledge, or medicinal knowledge, whatever it would be. And this is with the primary interest to say that there is recognition of the knowledge holders, and the access and benefit sharing, which I mentioned, also happens. So the NBA has been able to document close to about 2.7 lakh PBRs into the database. These primarily had been paper PBRs. Now they are moving over to the ePBR. So while I'm trying to come closer to completing my talk, so here all that I had tried to provide you is a glimpse of how traditional knowledge is protected. There is a defensive protection, there is a positive protection, and both have its pros and cons. When we talk of defensive protection, it is largely through database and registries. And of course, here the advantage is that we are preventing patents from being granted on known traditional knowledge. We are able to preserve our own heritage. And here, if in case it's oral traditional knowledge which has been documented, we are also able to ensure that the identity of the knowledge holders is also recorded. But the concerns has been, by making available available all this knowledge, on a public platform, would it trigger more misappropriation? And, many ethnobotanical works have been done. Have the prior informed consent of the knowledge holders been taken? How was it taken? Have we taken the, consent of the custodians or owners of that knowledge, or somebody who just knows that, this knowledge exists in the community? Where is the information control? Who will be the custodians? Who will be the owners of that knowledge? To what extent, would this access mean, how do we handle the confidentiality of this yet undisclosed traditional knowledge? So there's a lot of complexity associated with it. Of course, today's technological advancements help in addressing certain aspects of it, but the primary concern is that how do we, take care of many of these important and critical aspects. When we talk of positive protection, of course, as I mentioned, there's no sui generis legal systems, focused on traditional knowledge, but we do have indirect methods of it. So here the concern is that very often people say traditional knowledge, it is not novel, because there is already an overlap with the between the codified and the oral traditional knowledge. It is a dynamic knowledge. I think to somebody I did mention, it is not, when we talk of traditional knowledge, it is not static. It has moved with time, and it is often community owned, although there are individuals and private families that own this inheritance. And here, in the context of intellectual property rights, especially when it is yet undisclosed traditional knowledge, is it amenable for patent rights? Is it, can we take copyright on it if in case it is creative art? What about designs? What about plant variety protection and geographical indications? So yes, while we do not have a sui generis legal system focused only on traditional knowledge, there are many other ways by which we would be able to enable positive protection. So one, or a primary one, is the geographical indications, which Anilji had mentioned yesterday. He also mentioned about how right from Bandar Laddu to Darjeeling tea to Udupi Mallige and many others have gained geographical indications registration, and these are all legal provisions. Similarly, the Design Act of 2000, it allows somebody to take a design on certain of the innovations based on it. So one of the examples I think he had given, or perhaps tomorrow I will cover that in my presentation, is about the art form. Say the earlier art form was known only as a wall painting, and you have adapted it on a mug. Can you protect this design, new design? So there are questions that come, and then there are certain cases where the designs have been, copyrights have been given, and so on and so forth. So for creative art forms, say if you're looking into a translation of a known text, okay, can you copyright it? Perhaps the verses themselves cannot be copyrighted, but if you're adding your own creative comments, commentaries and all that, that particular text can be copyrighted. In India, we have a very special sui generis legal system that not only protects plant varieties, but also the farmers' rights. So the farmers' varieties also do get protected under this particular framework. Of course, in all of this, the very most important after the geographical indications and the copyrights would be the Biological Diversity Act, because here it stipulates, norms for access and as well as the benefit sharing of biological resources and the TK associated with it. So in fact, under the NBA or the Biological Diversity Act, you need the approval of the National Biodiversity on intellectual property rights, and also when the technology that you had developed involves TK or GR, you need to ensure that the approval of the NBA is granted. And of course, very importantly, the cousin of the TKDL, the People's Biodiversity Register, is an important record of the genetic resources and the TK associated with it. And the last but not the least is the Scheduled Tribes and the other traditional forest dwellers, that is the Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, wherein the communities of the forest are given due protection of their knowledge and as well as their land. So while that is there at a national level, internationally, the World Intellectual Property Organization has been working very, distinctly to ensure that we have a international understanding on how to protect traditional knowledge and also the genetic resources there. So after while the negotiations had begun in 2001 under the framework of the Intergovernmental Committee on IPGR and TK and folklore, only in the year 2024, the WIPO Treaty was brought in. This is primarily focused on genetic resources and the TK associated with genetic resources. TK and the traditional cultural expressions, the instrument is still under discussion. What this is expected to be contribute is to empower communities, protect traditional knowledge, and ensure there is no commercial exploitation without proper consent, and this would in turn help research and development and innovation. So this WIPO treaty that we are talking about, the main objective is what I have been telling all along: defensive protection, so that there is efficacy, transparency, and quality of the patent grant systems, and patents are there is a prevention of patent grants on inventions that related to genetic resources or the traditional knowledge. So here, importantly, what is been the focus is the disclosure requirement. So they say that in every patent application, which has already been implemented under the Indian Patents Act, if you do not disclose the source of information of the genetic resources or the traditional knowledge, you will not be granted a patent. But of course, the WIPO treaty is a little more relaxed. They say if you do not know, then at least give a declaration to that effect. But here, under our Indian Patents Act, we need to make sure that we provide all the information that has been asked by the authorities to disclose. And in the context of the TKDL, the Article 6 of the WIPO Treaty gains a lot of importance because they talk about information systems, that is, on databases, registries, again, in consultation with the concerned people, that is the indigenous people and the local communities. And they say that such systems can be made available for search and examination of patent applications. So thereby we would be able to prevent patents from being granted. So this is what I would have covered in today's presentation. We will continue the discussion tomorrow on the other aspects, especially the yet undisclosed or oral traditional knowledge.
बहु बहु धन्यवादः, madam. Pranam to all for helping us. So let us complete the assessment, then we will come back to our question and answer session. Okay.
Sure.
So in the chat box, I'm sharing the link only without writing day, so you can just copy easily.
सर मेल कर दीजिएगा इसको प्लीज.
Yes, I'm going to upload. Okay, it is difficult to mail, but I'm going to upload in the folder where you can download the link also.
Sir, yesterday I supposed to attend that
Sir.
assessment, but
Yes, please.
secondly I refreshed my Google Chrome page and that assessment link it's not there. Can you send me a status one?
That's done. Time is out. So please complete and complete the rest of the assessment. Okay, the final
Okay, sir.
assessment is important.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Please focus on that. Okay.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, good evening.
Yes, please.
Sir, I have received mail to join the workshop only today. So 3 days are over. Shall I continue?
Yes, no problem. Please complete the rest of the assessment and
ठीक है sir.
sessions. You have the recording
Sir,
in
no.
the Google
Sir, it
Drive
will be there in the
folder.
folder. Okay.
In the folder, everything is there. You can start.
Okay, sir.
There are recording sessions you can complete. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if you could provide the QR code on the screen.
Yes, yes. I am going to do that also. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Give me a few minutes.
सर ये लिंक नहीं दिखा रहा है.
कहाँ पर? In the Google Drive folder?
In the chat box
में नहीं दिख रहा लिंक.
I tried clicking on and I was removed from the meeting, sir.
The same here, वो remove हो जा रहा है.
Yes, so the moment we're clicking the link in the chat box, we are getting removed from the meeting.
1 second.
पर chat box में link दिख भी नहीं रहा है मुझे तो.
Too many messages are coming actually, ma'am.
1 second. Please don't write any message in the chat box right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That will be so helpful. People are typing so many messages.
Sir, आ गया. Ma'am, आ गया link.
अच्छा.
Okay.
Gautam ji, could you please give me access to present, share PPT? Who is there from IT team? Please give me access.
Sir, हो गया है. आ गया.
आ गया, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I submit my assessment. Should I leave?
Yes, if you complete your assessment, you may leave if you don't have any questions. Gautam ji, could you please give me the access to share the PPT? Is it possible? Amit ji?
I thought you shared, no, Piyush?
No, yeah. Today they have changed some setting. Okay.
Acha.
Now it's not visible. The share option is not permitted.
Can you?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, why don't you send it to me? I'll share it.
Yes.
I cannot get any messages in the chat box. In my chat box, it is saying you are no longer a participant, sir.
Hello. Sir, एक problem हो गई sir.
Deepak, I think there is some issue.
Yes, sir. एक problem है sir. Submit गलत मतलब fill नहीं कर पाई question और submit हो गया sir. Reopen हो सकता है? Hello.
Excuse me, sir. We are not able to access the chat option, sir.
Yeah, we're just checking. Just give us a couple of minutes. Anil, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am there.
Can you check with Deepak? I think some people are not able to access the chat box, and Piyush has not been given the sharing option. So people are not able to get the QR code, or are they able to access the chat box?
Piyush, can you please share?
Excuse me, sir.
Hello.
PPT. I am going to share PPT. Yeah.
Please share with me so that I can present it.
Yeah, people can access it and then submit their responses.
Yes, please.
Hello, Piyush sir. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Excuse me, sir. Yesterday we were not able to submit the assessment because of the network issue. Me and my colleague both were not able to submit it. So can we do it now?
No, yesterday's is over. You can only do the assessments of the day, only that particular day. And then you can take up the final assessment on 24th.
Okay, okay. Will that work?
Yeah, that will
If we
work.
are
As
not
long
given
as you
2
get a
yeah.
75% and above in the total, then you will be given a merit certificate. Otherwise, you will have to come back to us again.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, we are not able to access the chat option, sir. Can you please see?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
we
yes,
are
yes.
trying. We are
going to
trying.
share. Somehow we are going to share. I have sent to
I'm sharing
Anil
the
sir.
slide.
Yes. Then we can give few minutes.
Sir, if we are done with the assignment, can we leave?
Ma'am, there is a question. May I ask you a question? This is out of
Ma'am,
curiosity.
ma'am, please wait
No,
another
no,
few
we are
more
waiting
minutes.
for all others to
Oh, yes.
complete
Sorry,
their
ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
assessment.
Sorry,
No, no,
ma'am.
no, no,
Sorry,
no
ma'am.
issues at all. No
No
issues.
issues.
Just, give us a few more
Sure,
minutes.
sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. It's a master class, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Truly appreciate your comments.
It has been a very, very, it's a privilege and honor to join you, ma'am. And yesterday's class, day before,
Slide visible, Yoshi?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, sir.
so the PPT from yesterday and today, sir, we would be so grateful for it.
It is there in the Google
recording,
Drive.
everything is uploaded in the Google Drive. Please
Google
find
Drive.
it out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a Google Drive.
Sir, can you please upload the
Is slide
assignment in
visible now,
email, sir?
Yoshi?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. See,
yes,
the
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
people who have not been able to take up the assessment today, look at the QR code and please take it up. We'll give you a few more minutes and then we will take up the interactive session after this.
But picture is not clear, sir.
Sir, picture is not clear, sir. We are not able.
Oh.
Anil, if you have got it, you please try.
എല്ലാ ദിവസവും ഒരു ടെസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. എല്ലാ ദിവസവും
I will show it again.
ഓരോ ടെസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട് കേട്ടോ.
Yes, yes.
അസസ്മെന്റ് ടെസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. ഒരു IKS-ന്റെ ഒരു വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പ് ഓണാക്കി ഇടും ടെസ്റ്റ് എടുത്ത്.
May I request whoever is talking to keep yourself on mute?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you please
Actually,
put yourself on?
Yeah. Actually, I joined today itself, and I was unable to join earlier. So, can I give the assessment right now? It is possible, or it will be not valued?
For today, you can give your assessment, not for the previous 2 days. You can give your assessment for today.
Okay. So, can I continue for the remaining classes because I was unable to join earlier classes?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank
the
you.
earlier videos, Anil, the same problem is happening. It is not clear.
IKS-ന്റെ ഒരു ഓൺലൈൻ പ്രോഗ്രാം നമ്മളെ പോലെ രണ്ടുപേരും ചേർന്ന് ഞാൻ പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യാലോ.
Hello, madam.
10,000 രൂപ ഞാൻ 2,000 രൂപ.
Anil, clean your camera. Maybe the camera is a problem. Just clean your camera and see whether because of that the blur is coming. Yes, please.
Madam, where the recordings are being shared, in which drive?
There's a Google Drive, so all the this one PPTs are there. The recording is on the, YouTube. Let me share one of the links, and then, you can follow the remaining for the next few days. It's on YouTube by the IKS division.
Excuse me, sir. Still, I'm not able to access the assignment, sir. And my chat is also off, is banned, sir.
I just
Can you
shared
please
the
see,
link
sir?
for the assessment, today's assessment. It is in the chat box.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I have
Chat
also shared the
options has
screen.
been banned, sir. That is why
Hello, madam.
Yeah, just
Ma'am,
give
ma'am.
me, just
Yes,
give me
ma'am.
1 minute. Just give me
Yes,
1
ma'am.
minute,
Yes, ma'am.
please.
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me, sir. Chat option has been banned, so we are not able to access the chat, sir. Can you please check?
Is the PPT visible?
No, sir.
I don't think it's visible, sir. It's not
Just
visible.
Sir, if possible, you can
Is
share
it visible now?
assignment in email, sir.
It is still not clear, sir. There is some, it's still hazy.
Okay.
For all the participants who wanted to, get to see the previous.
It's working now. Sorry.
It's
sorry,
fine?
Sorry. It is working now. I got the
Okay.
link. Ma'am, I'm sorry.
No. What I have done is I have shared day 2 of the workshop recording in the chat box. Similarly, if you follow the IKS division of Ministry of Education on the YouTube and subscribe to that, you will get all the videos, but particularly the recordings of this workshop are being put up in the evenings every day after the particular day. So, presentation. So you can access all the, detailed discussions as well.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I just had one little query. If you could just tell us the format of the final assessments that will happen after the sessions, it will be really helpful for us to kind of prepare for them. Thank you.
Even that would be multiple choice questions. Piyush, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There
Can
will
you
be 40,
elaborate?
40 questions. You will have 50 minutes to complete that 40 MCQs. On Monday, we will start after a short concluding session.
Hello.
Ma'am will take that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
So firstly, I was not able to join. Can I have that, please?
Recording and PPT all are available to prepare for the final exam. But
Okay.
assessment, daily assessment, that is gone. Okay. Please.
Fine.
Chalo.
Fine.
Can you repeat this number?
Good evening, sir.
tinyurl.com.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Sorry to bother you again, sir.
tinyurl.com/SCHY. I am not able
Yes.
to read properly.
Okay. Let me. https:// then tinyurl.com/ then small s for son, C for cat, H for horse, A for apple, Y, W 7.
Y is capital or small?
All are small.
All are small.
I
And the
repeat
last
S C H A Y W 7.
Okay.
Ma'am, may I just actually I need to go for a lecture. I just have a question. I'm sorry if I am bothering you, but this has been bothering me for a very long time. The case you cited of Haldi being patented in the US court had bothered all of us way back in 93 when we were in the campus. And I somehow never found out what happened to that patent. Have we lost it or has it been redeemed to us?
Yeah, it's revoked.
Thank you, ma'am. You really, that was very nice. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a honor and privilege to join you. Ma'am, may I leave because I have a lecture waiting
Yes,
actually.
please. Yes,
Thank
you
you
may go
so
ahead.
much,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Excuse me, madam.
Good evening, ma'am. Good
Good
evening,
evening.
ma'am.
The
Sriranjan
question,
Uza this
please.
side. Ma'am, sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Ma'am, can I have the Google?
Ma'am, I put my question in the chat box.
I've
So
not been able to find it, ma'am.
Say that again.
Ma'am, I was asking for the Google Drive link for the PPTs. To find it.
I
Can you
think
give
it
the
comes
link in
in
the
your
chat box, ma'am?
email.
Is
See,
that
when you have
on the
registered and you're
principal meeting
getting the
ಅಲ್ಲಿ
links, no, you must have got the Google Drive. Piyush,
ನಾನು meeting
would you like to respond to this?
Don Bosco, Gato RRC.
ma'am, I have a question. Can I ask now, please?
Just 1 second. We are trying to help somebody on the Google Drive. Piyush, are you there? If you are, you have to unmute yourself and then talk. Anil?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you tell about the Google Drive?
Yes, there is a link which has been shared through email. You might have received those links to join this program. So in that email itself, there is a link for the Google Drive also. So you can access the Google Drive from there.
Noted, sir. Thank you so much.
And someone is removing us, I mean, repeatedly. It has happened 4 or 5 times today. So I request, please do not remove others.
I faced the same problem. I got removed twice.
Yes. Someone is
Anil, you talk to our IT team in the evening after this workshop and tell them to disable participants from removing other participants from the workshop.
Yes. So I believe the assessment has been, it is completed by all. So we can now take questions. If you permit, ma'am.
Sure.
Can I ask, ma'am?
अनिल सर, जिन लोगों की चैट विजिबल नहीं है उनके लिए भी बात कीजिएगा प्लीज.
Sure, you drop an email. We will look into it. In case you still
please take the
See, for
questions
all the
number
participants,
wise.
yes, we will go. Let me call out Ms. Aarti Parab. Can you unmute yourself, Aarti, and then speak, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I hope I'm
Good
audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am. I just have a question where you presented in your PPT about biodiversity management committee at village level. So I just want to know more details. That is it a government initiative and is it implemented already?
It is.
Because I
It
mean,
is a government.
Because at ground level, if you ask me, like, because it's my own village where my dad is a sarpanch there. So because I never heard this from him, and we have a very rich variety of flora and fauna. It's my village, my native is near Goa, Amboli. That is a very rich place.
I heard that the Goa State Biodiversity Authority is very active. See, these BMCs work under the State Biodiversity Authority. Okay, so State Biodiversity Boards, not authority, sorry, boards.
Okay.
So I'm sure if you look up the Goa State Biodiversity Board, you will be able to understand in which of the villages and panchayats they have already constituted the BMC. And from, again, verbal discussions, I know that Goa had done a good work on the PBR. So you might be able to get some information from the concerned State Biodiversity Board. Another important aspect which I did not mention is that like the TKDL, it's a restricted access to the TKDL, right? Similarly is the case with the PBRs also. They are not publicly available. So, of course, certain of the state biodiversity boards had printed and made it public, but most of the PBR is confidential information.
Okay, got it, ma'am. And one more question I had, this traditional Chinese knowledge and traditional Korean knowledge that you said, is that accessible to any public?
The TCM, which I told you, I checked yesterday because before the presentations, generally I do check and then present. I was not able to access the TCM website yesterday. I do not know, maybe the website has been down for whatever technical reasons perhaps. But the Korean Korean Traditional Knowledge Library was available. It requires a registration, and certain of the information is freely, available to the public. So you can have a look at that. The Philippines TKDL is also publicly available. They have some information available there.
Okay, got it, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Urmiji?
Yes. Namaste, ma'am. Ma'am,
Namaste.
actually, during my PhD, I developed a holistic well-being model, which is based on traditional and indigenous methods from scriptures. It is a combination of certain indigenous practices, which are noted for their holistic well-being. This thing. So I designed a training model, in fact, mental training model in psychology. So my university wants me to go for patent for this model. So is it possible in psychology?
Anil, you will have to answer this. Can
you please
frameworks and
repeat?
models?
It's a framework, and then it was used on, it was applied on one case study. Then I'll be replicating the study on a number of athletes again, so to get the more validated results.
So can you please repeat the initial part of the question, because
yes, sir. Yeah, sir. I have developed a holistic well-being model, which is a combination of indigenous methods from scriptures.
So it's a protocol.
It is from scriptures. It is Indian scriptures.
Yes.
So, and I have applied that intervention on one athlete. It is for the holistic well-being and performance enhancement model for athletes, elite athletes. So my university, I'm from Shri University, Cuttack. My university wants me to go for patenting it. So is it possible? It's a model of psychological training, mental training.
In case there is functionality, or in case it is an invention in terms of the definition that we discussed yesterday. So is it a kind of instrumentation, hardware kind of thing, or it's simple
it's an
protocol?
intervention which has to be it is an intervention. It is not an instrument, and in which this knowledge has to be shared with the participant. They practice it. It's a combination of indigenous methods, not one indigenous.
It's a method. So we have seen under section 3, business methods or other methods. Or a protocol is not patentable because it doesn't fall under the definition of invention. So there has to be some kind of inventive, this thing. You have to see whether it falls under those things. Then only you can get it patented. Otherwise, in case that doesn't fall under the definition of invention, then you can go for copyright also.
Okay.
So
mental models, they cannot go for this thing, but copyright can be done. Mental model, it's a mental model.
So you have my email ID. It was there in the presentation. So you can connect me directly for detailed discussion on this.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. I would definitely look forward to connect with you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rituji. Ritu Arora ji. You have to unmute. You have to unmute yourself, please.
Sir, can you please share your email ID once? Sorry to
Am I
interrupt.
audible?
Yes.
Am I audible now? Thank you for providing me the opportunity, ma'am. When you were discussing the TKDL database, one question arises that how can we protect traditional knowledge, especially oral and community held indigenous knowledge that has yet not been documented in TKDL or any database?
We will talk about oral traditional knowledge tomorrow at length.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pranjal ji, Pranjal Gujarati. Can you please unmute yourself? Pranjal? Amrita KG.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you please?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm a Sanskrit postgraduate. I really want to do my PhD in IKS itself with Sanskrit and 73 UGC net. Can I do PhD in IKS or not?
I would not be able to answer this question.
Yes.
Perhaps Piyush, yes. Thank you
Yes,
for
yes,
coming in.
yes. So for completing your PhD, you have to contact to the faculty within in an institutions. We are not taking any PhD students. Last time we started postdoc, but that is now postponed. Right? It's terminated again. So please look into that. So first you have to find out a discipline, for example, chemistry, physics, scientific and any technological area within your Sanskrit resources. Clear? Then you have to talk to that person.
Sir, I have little more studied about अहं संस्कृते भाषणं कर्तुं शक्यते
कथं भवती कथं प्रयासं करिष्यति तर्हि कः अध्यापकः अस्ति तेन सह सम्बन्धः स्थापनीय ते तया अध्यापिकया सह यस्मिन् विषये भवत्याः रुचिः अस्ति तस्मिन् विषये एव करणीयम् अस्तु तर्हि कस्मिन् विश्वविद्यालये PhD इदानीं चलति
तन्न 73 कोड् उपयुज्य IKS मध्ये
तस्मिन् विषये समस्या नास्ति IKS विषये PhD करणार्थं केवलम् अध्यापकेन सह अध्यापिकया सह सम्बन्धः स्थापनीयः तस्मिन् विश्वविद्यालये एव करणीयः सम्यक् अवगतं वा अस्तु
आम् अवगतं महोदय
तदेव कृपया यत्र एव एप्लिकेशन् चलति तत्रैव अप्लै करोतु
आम्
Seema Tiwari ji. Can you please
Very good evening to everyone. Good evening to everyone. Good evening and thank you so much for this wonderful session, ma'am. Actually, my background is science. I am already PhD in biotechnology, but nowadays I'm taking more interest in attending trainees in Indian knowledge system. As in the last, I this link and got suggested. But unfortunately, I didn't attend first and second day session. Yesterday I attended and today I attended. So thank you so much for this wonderful session. And sir, मेरा जो question है वो ये है कि सर पेपर पब्लिकेशन के लिए है कि जैसे जो पोस्टिंग है अभी नवोदय विद्यालय अरुणाचल प्रदेश में है नवोदय विद्यालय में तो यहाँ पे और मैं यूपी से बिलोंग करती हूँ तो यहाँ के मैंने बहुत सारे ट्रेडिशनल लैंग्वेजेस ट्रेडिशनल कल्चर आदि ईदू मिसनी इन सब के बारे में देखा जाना और प्रैक्टिकली फील किया है ये सारे बच्चे हमारे स्कूल में पढ़ते हैं तो सर इनका मैं एक कंपेरेटिव एनालिसिस करती रहती हूँ और मतलब पेपर पब्लिकेशन के हिसाब से मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा चीजें चलती रहती हैं लेकिन अभी तक कर नहीं पाई हूँ तो क्या उस बारे में थोड़ा गाइड करेंगे सर कि जैसे अंडर द गाइडेंस ऑफ हमारे प्रिंसिपल सर रहेगा मेरा रिसर्च वर्क पेपर के लिए जो मेथोडोलॉजी चाहिए या हम क्वेश्चनार वगैरह करके या सर्वे करके कैसे सर कर सकते हैं ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज को अरुणाचल प्रदेश के ट्रेडिशनल कल्चर को और रिसर्च कैसे सर दोनों चीजें कंबाइन करके और रिसर्च पेपर के रूप में मैं कैसे ला सकती हूँ सर के लिए गाइडेंस चाहिए क्योंकि यहाँ सब चीजें प्रैक्टिकली अवेलेबल हैं बहुत से बच्चे हैं उनके पेरेंट्स से इंटरेक्शन होता है अलग अलग ट्राइब्स हैं यहाँ पे और मतलब इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम के हिसाब से तो भरपूर चीजें यहाँ भरी पड़ी हैं तो मैं कैसे शुरुआत करूँ सर और कैसे खत्म करूँ
Piyush, you want to answer that?
Yes, so initially to start within IKS framework, I can suggest you, as you talk about the tribal knowledge, within that you have to find out a specific area. It's are you trying to take healthy aspect or any agricultural part or any other domains, and for start from that and trying make a proposal and come to our website and you can apply. Okay, that would be
Okay,
the
sir.
first initiative you can take. Before that, you can
Specific.
make a group. Within a group, there should be an expert who can explore the primary text. Okay, that is important.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Chalo to.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your guidance.
Thank you, Seemaji. Thank you, Ushaji. Usha S.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, madam. Good evening. Good
Good
evening,
evening.
everyone and the team.
Good
It's
evening.
been a wonderful session so far. I've been really enjoying because my PhD work was on GRTK protection in 2009. I have a good publication on this as well. So I was just wondering, like over the period, no, now NGT also has come into existence. And I wanted to know how much of NGT is really involving in this protection of, tribal knowledge in terms of access and benefit sharing, because there is a provision in the NGT where it can also take appeals in case there is any issue in NBA and all. So how much of the National Green Tribunal is involving in this aspect? If you could share some information, it would be helpful.
How much it is getting involved, we may not be able to provide because this is between two other different government institution bodies. Okay, and both are statutory bodies, kind of. So the National Biodiversity Authority has been sharing the benefits extensively in the last few years. So in terms of, the access and benefit sharing that was envisioned in the Act is being implemented. I think to that extent we can respond. Again, at the behest of NGT, the PBR work was, expedited, and there was from, I think, an early record of, just a few thousands. Now they stand about 2.7, 2.8 lakh entries in the PBR. So I think they are also showing a lot of good progress.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Dr. Edavarathi. Dr. G. Edavarathi, can you unmute yourself and ask your query? Dr. Niranjan Kheti, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, my question was that do we have any NGO who is working on Indian knowledge system?
There are a
in
lot
Delhi?
of NGOs in Delhi, I do not know, but there are a lot of NGOs across the country who are working on the Indian knowledge systems. And some of them also talk about the grassroots innovations also. The Honeybee Network that I mentioned is one. The Center for Indian Knowledge Systems in Chennai is one another. Navdanya Kendra that I again mentioned of Dr. Bandana Shiva is one, which is protecting the rights of the communities as well. There are many. Anil P. Joshi works in Uttarakhand, again in the context of ecology and environment. So there are many people. So if in case you have any specific query, you could write to either PhD or Anilji or even to me, and we may get back if in case we have the answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you have to find out your domain first, and within that domain, there are public, private, and NGOs. All are there. Okay, they are working under IKS.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Manisha Goshti.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Am
Good
I
afternoon.
audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yeah, my background is botany and I am working on ethnomedicinal plants. And during my PhD work, I have developed a herbal lipstick by using different plant materials. So, and after that, I have done different in vitro and in vivo tests or assays. now it can be patented. This lipstick can be patented or not? Just want to
I
know.
don't think we will be able to provide an answer based on just this basic information. In case you have anything specific, you write to Anilji and we will respond to you on that one. But as I mentioned, the section 3P, duplication or aggregation of properties under traditional knowledge is non-patentable subject matter. So we'll have to look at the specifics. We cannot give an offhand answer just based on some preliminary statements.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
You're
you, ma'am.
welcome.
Okay.
Sure, thank you so much. Dr. Mallika, I think this would be the last question, Piyush.
Yes,
Dr. Mallika.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
My domain is Tamil literature.
Yes, please.
Dr. V. Mallika, PhD at Krishna College for Women. In the future, we can discuss the possibility of development activities through the IKS in our college. I am planning to undertake an individual project on Siddha medicine in Siddha literature, ma'am. Please guide me on how can I apply for this project and what the application procedure would be. Any guidance, ma'am?
So before you actually start writing your proposal, you please interact with the Siddha Vaidyas and the practitioners in your area. In Palayamkotte, you have in Chennai also you have both the Council for Central Council for Siddha Research (CCRS) is there in Chennai. You also have the National Institute of Siddha also in Chennai. So you go, please meet with the people there and then understand what is available and then identify your area of interest. Okay, that would be applicable for doing a PhD or similar other activity. Then you can, or even a project, then you can write your proposal. For that, I think probably IKS division also offers, calls for proposals at appropriate time periods you can apply. Or if in case at the state level you have, projects being called for, you can apply under that also. But first, please interact with the Siddha practitioners and doctors in your area.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Or you can look into the previous guidelines on our website www.iksindia.org. Okay.
Yeah. Last year we will missed January project. Next year we will do that.
Yes,
all
please.
Right. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Astu, pranamah sarvabhyah. So see you tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow, ma'am will talk about the ethical aspects. How when we work within IITK, what are the ethical aspects we should concern? So we'll look into tomorrow's session. Okay, chalo to. Astu, we'll end with Shanti Mantra. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Namaste
Astu,
to all.
pranamah.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.